Hey, welcome back to Basin Motorsports. So winter is finally here, which means build season is officially on. Baby, it's cold outside, and I'm going to the garage to get some stuff done. So with the shop all toasty warm, it's time to get down to business. First off, welcome to 2019. So this year, the mantra I am going to go forth with is going to be progress, not perfection. 2018 was wide body or no body, and this year, I just want to make some progress. I'm not going to shoot for perfection. So as you can see behind, WideFox now has some carpet up there. I've got a cover on top with a carpet on there, and I've got a set of black carpet. So two things I want to do immediately with the wide body is to put carpet in with scuff plates and floor mats, and to put the dash back in. So let me show you kind of what we're working on with those. So on the wide body, you know I've been driving it around for a while after doing all the ECM and everything else, and I've never put carpet in it. Well, I never put a dash in either, but I'm going to rectify that. I initially thought I was going to do the dash. And one of the things I didn't have a diagram for, and I still don't have a diagram even after searching on the internet, was that I don't really know the vacuum lines to put all of the HVAC box back in. I know I don't have a line coming from the engine bay for the distribution block. They're coming in, and that goes to the back of the controls. The controls is what starts divvying out the vacuum, whether it goes to the froster, the floor, etc. And while I thought I had the 86 as a role model, I took that apart and figured out that's not going to be the best thing. So if I show you the 86, last night I took apart the dash. And really, it's pretty easily, it's modular. If you can take out the main bolts itself that hold it onto the A-pillars on the lower, across the top of the windshield, and then where the console is. So I took that apart, hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that it would be an exact duplicate of what the 80 is for the WideFox, and it is not. So, rather than worry about the dash initially, I'm going to put the carpet in, and then in a separate video, I'm going to show you how to diagnose and figure out all the HVAC pieces. So what it will be is that I will put it all in, but I'm going to show you how to figure out which goes where. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error in that, but I've got to get it a line run from the engine bay or the distribution block through the firewall into the controls, and then from there you at least know you have a source and you can start divvying it up. The 86 gives me a pretty good idea, but it's not perfect. And I'm going to show you the progress, not perfection, remember the mantra, of what we're going to be. So first off, on the carpet, what we're going to do is we're going to take the seats out on the WideFox, get those out of the way, get the shifter out, and then I can start worrying about getting the new carpet laid in there and start cutting it. Okay, with the passenger seat out, now I need to get out the seat belt. So obviously this piece here, shifter's already out, and rear seat belt on the side back here, and then the ECM. Now I'd say before you start messing with your ECM, disconnect your battery just so there's no power to it. That way if you unplug it, plug it, or anything else weird, there's no chance that you can short out your ECM for any reason, and that way no problems at all. So go ahead and do that. I already did mine. It's already in the trunk, done, and ECM can come out with the bracket. So I'm just going to disconnect the harness here, take this out because I need to slit the carpet to be able to stick the harness back up through to the ECM, which will go on top of the carpet under the seat. All right, so with everything out of the way, seats out, shifters out, seat belts are out, rear seat is out, everything's ready to go. I now just took my shop vac, gave it a quick sleep out, because remember, I've been driving this thing for a couple months here and there, so yeah, it's just some dirt in there, some other stuff. Get it all vacuumed out, get it to a good surface, and then you can put your carpet in. Now, when you're buying carpet, you know it's going to come in a box. It's going to be all rolled up and crunched up to make it as small as possible. If this is during the summer, you're going to take your carpet out, set it out, and you can take it and probably set it outside for a good 45 minutes to an hour in the sun, and it will help it to relax, especially if you have carpet with the mass backing. Remember, it's like a thick plastic, and it will really, I mean, it'll stay in shape, and you want it to relax. If it's not in summer like I am where it's snowing outside, I've taken it outside and taken it out of the box, put it on top of the car, and that's why I had my cover on. So I put the carpet up there, allow it to sit up there for probably about a week now. I've allowed it to sit out there, kind of relax, and it stayed, you know, kind of in varying temperatures, but it should be good enough to where I put it in here that the shape and the contours itself should start to kind of relax out into the floor. So with that, I need to get the carpet off the roof and in the car, and I'll show you kind of how to start. All right, so once you have your carpet roughly in place, one thing you're going to notice is that it is long on every edge. The point of that is that it allows it to kind of overlap everywhere so that you can cut it down to exactly fit your car. The tolerances on these aren't exactly perfect, so having a larger carpet than needed allows you to kind of snip the edges, get it back to where you want. So when I start carpet, I'm always going to start from the middle. Now this is the same as doing with like vinyl and that, so that you can work from the middle and work out to the edges. Again, working from one edge to the other tends to screw up something along the way, and don't do it. Don't do it. So start from the middle. And I always start from the back. So you know right where the base of the seat is, it comes down into the floor pan, goes forward, kind of up over the seat and that. So I kind of mold it down to that point, get to where my middle is, and then I cut. The first thing I always cut is going to be the parking brake. Now again, it is going to be roughly in shape, so I cut at the back, cut a slit along the front of it, and then that way I can kind of loop it up forward and down around the handle, and then it should be exactly where I need it. And remember, take your time cutting on all of this stuff. You don't want to overcut because I guess if you have a bigger console, you can be a little bit more forgiving. Mine has the console delete, so it has two little squares for the shifter and the parking brake. And I'll tell you, it is not going to tolerate me being kind of generous with my cuts. I need to be precise, and if I screw it up, well, it's going to be kind of ugly. So I don't want to do that. So let me get some tools. I'm going to get some scissors and a razor blade to be able to cut this carpet, and we'll get and put it in. All right, so on it, so it's basically the hump where I want it. You can see it's molded to the back seat, comes down to the floor pan. Now again, this extra length that's back here, it's going to be tucked under the seat, so leave it alone for now. You can just make a cut incision around this where the seat snaps in, and you just take out basically a chunk right here to where the seat snaps in, but it keeps this down. This will fit all under your quarter. This will fit in your scuff plate and your seat and all that. So once you have this in place, what you're going to find is that, you know, for your base of your seat running up here to this piece, you're going to go up and you're going to know this is the base of the parking brake. So here is the handle. You can see right to there. So at this point, you know this is where the hole needs to be cut. So you can make just a slit, basically just a simple slit down the center, and then pull it forward, put the parking brake through it, and then bring it back to this place. At that point, you can then adjust your cuts as you need to maybe if you need to open up a little bit longer to be able to fit this in there, and then you can start kind of molding it out and away. Next piece up will be molding it up to the shifter handle. Same thing, get it up to where the opening is going to be, and then make a small incision. And I like to do just basically incision versus cutting like a circle or anything out. Make a slight incision there. That way is your initial piece, and then you can change it from there if you need to add a little bit of a cut to a curve or anything else. It's easy to add later. It's not so easy to put back because it basically doesn't go back. So thanks for the camera. It's having a freak out session, so let me just cut this and I'll show you the end product. Alright, so that's the exact piece here. Now you notice you put your thing down, it's going to pull on the carpet. So you can now trim out just a little bit more around the edge, so you can kind of make an oval shape a little bit, cut it back a little bit more so it sits down in there. But that's how you put your parking brake in. Now, once you have this done, basically run it down smooth all the way, especially since you don't have a console like I do. And then you're going to go up to your shifter here. So again, make a small slit, let it sit down in there, relax it out, and kind of start from the center and smooth it all the way out. Take your time, smooth everywhere before you cut. Make sure it's all going to fit and sit down nicely. and then you can make your cuts after that. Alright, so once you have everything kind of starting to fit in there, you can see I've got my seat studs through. You can kind of make out there's the two holes for the back studs. The seat, the bolts that go through, obviously the ECM, seat belts, park brake I need to retrim, and on the back seats. So once you have everything kind of fitting over this edge, you can then just kind of give yourself a notch there. Now the reason I do this versus just cutting this big section off is that when the seat goes on, what it will do is it will go down in here and it basically traps the carpet. So the carpet can't really go any further backwards because of this edge. It won't be able to pull forward because it can't. Remember, there's a tongue or kind of a tab that snaps down in here. So it keeps that carpet locked so that if somebody steps on the back, it never really comes untucked from underneath the seat. So I'm going to put the seat back in real quick, and you can see I'm starting to get it tucked around. I'll put the seat belts back in, and then I need to finish up cutting for this, and I'll get my trim and show you kind of what these need to fit like. Alright, with the back seat in, I'm now moving on to the fine cuts around the parking brake cable, and you can see I've got my shifter handle and boot on there to final cut that. One thing I'll say is that when you have your little finishers and that, cutting too much obviously is going to expose the floor underneath. So a lot of times what I'm going to do is just use my finisher to basically cut just enough. Now this on the back side actually snaps under this piece right here. So it kind of goes down, scoops in, and then it should snap on the front. So you can, when you're kind of getting this in here, get it kind of in place. And then really I like to nestle it in real tight down into the carpet. And once you pull that finisher off, what you'll see is that your carpet will have just a little bit of a trace. You can kind of see this faint line here. That is my finisher. So this is kind of like the don't go beyond this line. So when you're trimming all this out, you can cut it real close to everything. Just nibble at it a little bit away with a razor blade, something simple like that. And then you have kind of your finish line of don't go beyond this because my finisher can't cover that cut. So that's just literally just exposing this bottom edge to where I can tuck now under. This front piece will come down over the front, which is come to here, and then that is a done deal. Then I can move on to my shifter. All right, so once you have your park brake cable all in there, you can move on to your shifter. Now, it's kind of be the same thing. I cut it small, and I knew it was really kind of bunching up around the boot here. And what I was going to have to do is just basically start opening this up. Now again, you can set your finisher on to kind of give you an idea of where everything's going to fit. And for this small finisher delete, it's actually hooked on the front, and then you can see at the top there's a screw here. Now the top piece is going to snap on there, and it normally clips in here, so it loops under the front, clips in the back, but these clips on the finisher top piece are actually broken, so I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. So I'm going to wipe this down with alcohol, double-sided tape it, and that will be on, and then I can put my shifter on. Now it's going to kind of be up to you if this kind of gap here is going to bother you. I don't like it, so I'm going to actually fill in underneath the carpet, because this is pretty stable because it's mounted to the body essentially. So this goes to metal brackets that are attached to the body, so this is pretty stable. So you can actually build up underneath the carpet. Now I've got a lot of this old stuff. Now this is different stuff, so it's off of old carpet sets. It's not too bad. It's kind of musty in that a little bit, but it's going to be okay. So you can take this, cut it up into sections, and you can basically go underneath the carpet and then tuck it up under the carpet to actually push the carpet out. It's an old trick we did at the automotive plants to kind of hide some gaps in that. So I'm going to do that, basically fill in between the metal body, pushing the carpet up, and that will fill in this gap to where now the carpet's going to actually kind of be pushed up against the finisher and give it a nice tucked seam right there. So there's the finished product. Now, just some shoddy, just some of that jute or whatever you want to call it on the backside. So you can see the gap, not bad. A little bunchy, but not too bad. I mean, once you put seats in, it won't be so bad. Just pan out a little bit. Now, I do need to vacuum this out quick before I go and put the seats in. And once the seats are in, I'll put the finisher on top, and then we'll finish up these scuff plates and be done. All right, so now with everything else in there, you can see I've got the carpet in, both seats put back in, the ECM's in, plugged in, bolted down, and then I put the floor mats in also. So it's all vacuumed out. The console delete that was originally in the car is in there, so you can see both of the finishes there. Now the boot and the shifter in that is from the 92, so it's kind of a blend of an older model with kind of like the leatherish boot with the newer model and the console delete. The only thing left now is going to be your scuff plate. So you can see the carpet should be long. So if I kneel down here, you should see under your holes, I'll show you up front here. Once they're pulled over, you should see that the holes, like right here, should be covered up just a little bit by the carpet. Now as you go down, you can notice that's an extra hole. This will get there, so this one does not need to be cut. It'll get covered. But anytime you have a little bit here that's touching the waste molding, you may just need to trim it back just a little bit to make sure this hole is open. That's if you want to pull it very tight there. You can always just leave it a little loose, but I'm going to pull this over, so I'm going to trim just a little bit right here to get that hole back opened, get rid of that contact just in this little section, and I'll kind of measure that down all the way to make sure that fits. So you can see back here by the seat belt, it's definitely got some extra material. So I'll do a little bit of trimming here. You don't have to do much, you shouldn't have to do much, but just a little bit just to get the holes exposed for the scuff plate, and then make sure this sits down flush and tight. Okay, so that is the finished product there. Now everything is in, vacuumed, new scuff plate, so you can kind of see the color change from the scuff plate to the old plastic, and then I need to get a set of kick panels, so that'll stay open for now. Next piece is going to be onto the dash. Picked up some vacuum line today for that. Final look at the dash. I am pretty stoked about that, pretty happy. So there you go, late model Resto SV1 or SVE S1 seats. Everything else stock, looking good. And on to finish the left-hand side, and then we'll move on to the dash next and be good. All right, so that's it for fresh new carpet for WideFox. Obviously, it's very black in there, but as I've been told, you can never go too dark on the interior. So, murdered out look, you can kind of look behind. Pretty excited with that. Everything else is pretty good. So on to the dash next. Now, if you guys have any questions on putting in this carpet, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.